So the minimum wage is very, very popular. It's so popular that even red states are on board with the minimum. This is from 2016. Two red states just voted to increase the minimum wage. In 2016, Arizona, Maine, Colorado, and Washington had ballot initiatives to raise the minimum wage. They all passed. Minimum wage is popular. People like it. It's like gay marriage used to be for conservatives. They would put it on the ballot because it got people out to vote against it. But the minimum wage, it gets people out to vote for it. Bernie Sanders, led by Bernie, Democrats introduced legislation to raise the minimum wage. It's popular. Why wouldn't they do it? Well, because they have to please their donors. That's why they haven't done it yet. Our $15 minimum wage bill would give a raise to over 40 million Americans, including more than half of African Americans and Latino workers. A job should lift you out of poverty, not keep you in it. It's time every worker in America is paid a living wage. On Wednesday, a coalition of congressional Democrats introduced legislation that would raise the federal minimum wage from $7.25 to $15. That more than doubles it. That's how bad the minimum wage is right now.
Disneyland, known as the happiest place on earth, celebrated its 62nd birthday this Monday. But the guy inside the Scrooge McDuck outfit sweating his off is he's not swimming in gold. He's not. Disneyland workers are currently protesting low wages. In fact, many employees are among Anaheim, California's homeless population, literally, which is insulting since they live and work in the shadow of a gigantic castle that could easily house everybody. But instead of helping employees, Disney spends all their money bleaching the gloves of oversized rats. So, for more on this, we turn to our senior Disney expert, Natalie McGill. Natalie, tell me about this. For a place that's supposed to be so magical, these employees are being treated, sounds like less than awesome.
Okay, all right, yes, some workers are sleeping in cars, but even these Disney princesses weren't living in paradise. Cinderella dressed in rags, Snow White was a maid, Ariel the mermaid had a serious hoarding problem. The workers are just doing great impersonations of Disney's indigent vagabond characters.
Natalie, the point of these films is that if you're a good person and you work hard, you will not be left on the roadside. All these characters' fortunes turn around at the end.
And they can turn around for the workers, too. You just have to read between the lines of Walt Disney's speech when Disneyland opened. Disneyland is your land. Here age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and the promise of the future. You see, the past is the $12 an hour wage employees still receive, but they can savor the challenge of getting the $25 an hour wage needed to actually afford an apartment in Orange County.
While Walt Disney employee workers fight for higher wages, it's interesting to know that the Walt Disney Company or Corporation had record profits for 2018. Their profit was $12.6 billion, marking the highest figure to date. And that was a $12 billion profit on roughly $60 billion of revenue. Their profit versus revenue is very, very high compared to most companies in the country. Their profit this year was double what it was in 2013 and more than 3 times what it was in 2009. Yet their workers are protesting for higher wages. Interesting.
And clearly they haven't, since Disney CEO Robert Iger's compensation dropped by $1 million last year.
Dropped it down to $44 million. His employees don't even make a living wage. In fact, research shows that nationally, if minimum wage had kept up from 1970, had kept up with income distribution and purchasing power, it would now be $21 an hour. Instead, it's still $7.25.
Disney's profit was $12.6 billion last year, which was a record. I was curious to know how much was their profit per worker. So I went into Google and typed in Disney Corporation number of employees, and it tells me over here from Wikipedia there's 201,000 employees working for Disney Corporation, as of September 30th of 2018. Now I'm going to scroll down and see if that data is accurate because I don't trust Wikipedia. And here, the Walt Disney Company in May 18th of 2017 on their own website says they had 195,000 employees. So the number of 201,000 employees seems pretty accurate for how many workers work at Disney Corp. So if Disney Corp made $12.6 billion in 2018 and had 201,000 workers worldwide, what's their profit per employee per year? Well, this is $12.6 billion. That's 100,000 million billion divided by 201,000 workers worldwide. Their profit per worker per year is $62,000. That is $31 per hour. They're paying their workers at their amusement parks $12 an hour, and they're making a profit of $31 per hour, or $62,000 per year off each worker. If you make $12 an hour, you earn roughly $25,000 a year. Their profit per worker is more than double what the workers themselves make. Yeah, I understand why Disney workers are protesting for higher wages. This PowerPoint slide is from a unit on Fordism I use for my econ class, so ignore the top half of it. Disney's profit of $62,000 per worker per year is incredibly high. For example, in 2005, McDonald's profit per worker per year was $13,300. And in 2017, McDonald's profit per worker per year was $22,000. So Disney could certainly afford to pay their workers, I don't know, $10 an hour more, $22 an hour. That'd be $44,000 a year. The worker could have a high quality life, and their profit per worker would go down from, $60,000 a year to $50,000 a year. I'd call that a win-win. This is another table or chart that shows the high profit Disney has per worker per year. I believe the year for this data is 2013 or 2014. Apple's profit per worker per year was $419,000. Yahoo was $83,000. This goes from the biggest profit per worker per year for major U.S. corporations. Disney would be in the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, top 10. IBM's profit per worker per year is only $34,000, and Dell is $26,000.
Disneyland isn't completely screwing its workers. In fact, a couple working there while living out of their car recently told The Guardian they have a 24-hour helpline you can call.
That Disney's best offer is a helpline is yet another slap in the face of by corporations of low-income workers.
This is what this bill will do, and 40 million Americans, roughly 30% of the workforce, will now be falling over themselves to vote for you. You want to know why the Hillary lost in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin? Those 40 million people didn't come out for her. Why don't you give them all a raise? That's what Bernie Sanders is going to do. And is it popular? Is the minimum wage really popular? Well, I don't know. According to a Pew poll, 58% of Americans say they favored increasing the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. 58% of Americans. That includes Republicans.